Welcome to episode 104 of the Balance Period podcast, the show where we not only share our stories of growth, but we also share the simple, sustainable self care habits that we practice to help us make it from where we were to where we are today. My name is Recovery Ray.
And pranayana.
Perfect. So, this is the mindful reflection of March. So, as you all remember from last month, we took some time just to dive deeper into what the month entailed for us. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the habits that we practice, some of the experiences that we had, and ultimately share what we plan on doing going into April of 2021. So, Nick, let's go ahead and get started. Let's take it back to our mindful reflection of what was that, February? Yeah, what was going on? What was going on around that time?
We start with the move. I was moving. Then, like the first week, it was unexpected. Moved somewhere brand new, and it's been a great experience. Just being in acceptance, allowing the transition to take place. Now we're decorating, and so that's just been. It's been a fun time to make the transition from where we were to where we are now, and then just to be more observing instead of trying to figure everything out to make sure everything works perfectly, but to experience it from more of an observing standpoint and in acceptance to where if something didn't work out the way we thought it would, that means that it's going to work out in a better way. And that's just a mindset that we choose to take.
So you say you say you and your girlfriend Holly, you all are aligned in that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think if you're able to be with someone that you're able to share a perspective like that with, that's valuable. You said before it's fun. I know most times people won't associate moving with fun. So I was like, what made it fun? Like what? And I think you answered it in talking about taking that perspective to be more observant and accepting what you're experiencing, because ultimately you then give yourself the freedom to enjoy yourself
Exactly.
along that journey. So I like it. But yeah, that's awesome. It's funny because we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I'll actually be moving to end this month of March. So I'll be moving going into April. So we'll probably have some similar conversations as I mindfully reflect over April in about a month here. But yeah, so where was I at? I was just talking about observing more. I had just finished reading the book Awareness by Anthony DeMello, and I was taking more time just to pay closer attention to what's happening instead of observing life with an intention of going somewhere or doing something with what I observe, just being in the moment, just being present, and just doing my best to observe what I am experiencing from a place that's non-judgmental, which helps. You know, we talk about mindfulness a lot, and practicing mindfulness gives me an opportunity to do that. But yeah, it was just, I was looking forward to going into this month, maintaining that perspective and continuing to expand my awareness of life and of where I am currently in any given moment. So that was where I was, and as we'll talk a little bit more about here, it's been enjoyable. It's been enjoyable for me on this journey. So talk a little bit about the month itself. So what were some things that you came up against this month, and how did you work through them?
So the fun thing was another fun thing was the content aspect. I know I talked about in the reflection last time with that I wanted to make more transparent content this month. I actually did the form of about 4 different videos, and that was a process in itself because I faced a lot of different thoughts during that time, and I realized that I was really my desire for something to be quote unquote what I would call perfect or good or presentable was only based in fear, the fear of it being judged in a way that I didn't want it to be judged. And that was just like going through and creating, but then erasing and be like, why am I erasing? Like, this is good. And starting to judge and then starting to hit that spiral of emotions that we don't desire on a consistent basis and started to experience that and started to build momentum in that direction until I literally did like this. It was funny. I literally did balanced breathing for like 30 minutes. And as I sat there and did that, I was just sitting there the whole time in my head. I was like, so why? What is this? Because this is something. I just want to know what this is. And as I asked that question, I started to understand that, okay, it's just, always, it's just me, first off. And second, it's just me being afraid of what I think people might think. That's all. Like
Mm.
that was the basis of what it was. And that was only because of the lack of belief that I had in myself at that time, which I equate that to the quality of time I was spending with myself in those areas. Like I could explain it to people, but I still didn't feel confident in it in myself. And that in turn played a role in me presenting it. But once I just said, F it and do it, man, it was fun. And then the response was dope. And so it's been a good time. I look forward to sharing more.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you making the point to talk about what you used like in the moment to
Hmm.
say that you practice balanced breathing, which, as we talked about on here before, it's a 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out breathing pattern, traditionally through your nose. But if
Yep.
you have something going on and need to
Yeah.
do it through your mouth, it works too. But no, it's amazing what breathing can do. Like, especially when we're experiencing those uncomfortable emotions, the fact that we're aware of them, and that means that when we experience them, we experience all of them, and
Yep.
it's not comfortable. It does not feel nice, but if you're able to manage your breathing effectively, it only takes a short amount of time to transition from that uncomfortable emotion to you recognizing the full worth of that moment and ultimately experiencing peace and or whatever else you may need or want to experience in that moment to take you to that next step and to allow you to take actions regardless of that emotional response. So I think that's important that you made that point. That's valuable.
Yeah. No, it's been a fun journey. Like it's been very fun. And being able to observe yourself, which like even when you said it the last month, has just been it's giving it like extra spice. Because now you're just like, why am I doing that? And I'm doing that for a reason. And had being able to observe and then just kind of guide yourself through everything. It's like I say, it's when you take full accountability for every single thing in your life and realize that how much power you have in it. To me, life just gets way more fun.
Right. It's a trade off for sure though,
Oh yeah.
accountability, because you recognize that. Well, I know I recognize that I used to identify as a victim, and I saw myself as a victim for so long that accountability didn't sound nice because I'm like, who can I blame then? Like, wait, I'm the only person I can blame for where I'm at in life. That's stupid. Like,
God damn it.
so it's definitely a trade off. It's important to adopt a different mindset. You kind of have to, or else accountability won't work and it won't
Oh
really
yeah.
be as effective or as valuable in our lives if we are still observing our experience through the lens of a victim being a victim.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah. Let's see. No, that's awesome. So you're in this spot now. How are you liking the spot just in general?
Man, it's been dope. I would say it's something that I've noticed everywhere that I lived. Because I mean, I lived in one apartment before, and I could tell that that community was a certain way. And I've started to understand that a lot of life is just built in pockets. Like it's pockets of where people feel comfortable. So you stay around the people who you feel most comfortable around. And as I've lived in these different places, and each have been economically different, like at least a nice size gap in between what the pay is in these areas. And now where I'm at now is like, man, I see why we would say quote unquote successful people hang around successful people, which makes them more successful. Because when you're in the atmosphere of people who are doing all the kind of same stuff you're doing, whether it be entrepreneurship, creating, whatever it is, it's almost like you're just feeding off of each other. Like just being around these people and any person you talk to is like, man, these conversations are different. It's just the way I like to put it, and I said it in one of the videos, is to change dimensions is just a thought. So to walk within, we all live on the same earth, but we walk within different realities. And I've noticed that through my interactions with other people.
Mm, that's powerful too, man. I'm excited. That's awesome. I'm glad that you get to experience that on a day to day basis.
It's nice.
Yeah, dope. I'm thinking about what's been going on with me this last month. Observation, observation. So that's where I've been staying personally. I've just been paying closer attention to what's happening from moment to moment. There were a few things that I did to help me continue to expand my awareness, along with things that I noticed along that process of expanding my awareness. So, one thing I'll mention, the habit that I practiced primarily was keeping track. So for the people who are seeing this, you can kind of get a glimpse of what my daily notebook looks like that I write in. But each day here, as the day starts, I put the date itself, and then I write down my values. So the 5 values that I talk about on this show, I write them down because I know that I'm going to be looking back at this planner at some point throughout the day. So as long as they're there, it helps me remember the person that I want to be and what I have identified to help me live a fulfilling and a wholehearted life. I keep it at the forefront of my mind. So I'm grateful to have been practicing that prior, but it really helped as I've been expanding my awareness because the things that I notice that might not align with those values, I'm able to identify them more effectively. And so once I identify them, then I have the opportunity to choose whether I continue to put energy there or not. So I'm grateful to have been continuing to practice a habit that helps me audit my perspective of myself and audit what I observe on a moment-to-moment basis. So that's been very helpful. I've also been writing down the habits that I practice on a daily basis. And so underneath the values that are in that log, I also keep the 5 things that I want to focus my time and energy on a daily basis. I got self-care, family, my business, education, and anything that I'm invested in financial-wise. So that also helps too because now I get to see on paper, these are the habits I practice today. And then I can see, okay, if these are the 5 things that I want to continue to put my energy into, how is it matching up? Are the habits I'm practicing actually contributing to these things? And if I need to prioritize different habits, that then allows me to do so more effectively. So doing that over this last month has definitely helped reprioritize my focus so that I can be more intentional about how I spend my time moving forward, which I greatly appreciate. So shout out to observation. It helps quite a bit. But yeah, as we were talking about before, though, it's important to do so non-judgmentally because, like this next thing, I recognize that I procrastinate, and I've known this about myself. I've been a procrastinator my entire life. Like, I remember in college, I would have papers, and I would wait till like 30 minutes before the class to type out a paper and turn it
Exactly.
in. And I used to judge myself based on that, and I used to think that was bad or wrong, and so I would then it was just a cycle of judgment. And so through being able to observe it, I was just like, well, let me educate myself on procrastination. I really don't know much about it, so I looked it up, and I saw that there were able to categorize certain characteristics based on like why you're procrastinating. So for me, what I noticed was I procrastinated due to a fear of failure. So for me, I would procrastinate on doing a task because in the back of my mind, we talked about it a lot here, but just not recognizing the full worth of my life. I'm afraid that what I put up and what I give is going to not be well received by whoever I give it to, or like in the case of school, I wouldn't get a good grade, all those things. But it was just a fear of failure. And so being able to observe that and just pay closer attention to it, I recognize that procrastination isn't bad. It's just a thing. And B,
Exactly.
now that I am aware that at this point I'm just doing it out of habit. It's not because I don't believe in my ability to succeed. It's just something that in certain areas still happens because that's how I've always done it, or I've done it for the last, 20 some years now. So it's nice to be able to see them. And now that I recognize it and do so non-judgmentally, I'm able to more effectively change it by continuing to do what I was mentioning before. Be aware of how I'm spending my time, prioritize habits that are aligned with my values and with my goals. And as long as I'm doing that, then those that I continue to notice, I'll be able to progress beyond them and to not allow them to keep me in spaces that no longer serve a useful purpose. So
That's dope.
that's what March has offered me a lot of things to observe, and I'm excited to continue on this journey and to pick different areas to focus in on. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I want to just throw some in there. So it's something that I've been thinking about recently, and two things I've been working on. One, I'll share with you all. It's called "The Ego Is the Body." That's the first one that I'm working on, which I'll be putting out content towards that. Then the other is what you just said. and it talks about how you wrote down like the habits that you practice daily. And what it is it's the formula to life. I've realized that, well, at least from my perspective, life is nothing but processes put together to equal an end result. And so, based on what you're doing, the process that you create, you're going to get the end result. So, when you said that you started to write down your habits every day to see if they aligned, I think it's really cool to do that and then just see how your life goes. Like, if you want to be a certain thing in life and you create, okay, if I want to be this, I believe these habits is what it takes to be this, and you do those and you see where your life goes in that direction. And then if you don't like it, change it, do something different. But it's just like I said, I've been coming to terms with the fact that life is really, really fun when you choose to have that perspective for it. And so it's just being able to do different things. And with manifestation being something I keep hearing all over social media, I just think it's really dope that I believe that's something that you practice in a way through how you do your process.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I agree. I think the concept of discipline equals freedom. Like I live by that. Like you look at this book and it's like I have books on books on books, days on days on days. Like this has been something that I've been mindful of, and it takes that level of discipline to create a mind that's free from the attachments and from the different things that bind us to living a life that doesn't serve us and that doesn't serve
Yeah.
the person that we want to be. And so it's not easy, but it just takes a little bit of time each day and being disciplined by doing it that allows you to, like you said, create the life that you want for yourself, ultimately, to manifest that which you're putting out into the universe that you want. So yeah, it's definitely a simple process. I know one thing that I noticed from keeping track of those habits was that I was investing a lot of time into self care over the last month, which I recognize to be valuable primarily because one thing that I talked about in the mindful reflection of February was that I was congested. I've still been congested over this whole month, so sometimes my body does this. I'm fine. I will say I went to go get the COVID test just because my respiratory rate spiked just a little bit, and I know that that's an indicator, so I went to go get it checked. I'm good. It's just allergies, like I
Yeah.
expected, but I'm still working through it. So I've definitely been able to recognize that I know I've been putting my energy this month into putting my body in the best position to heal itself because our bodies were designed to heal themselves.
Hmm.
And I'm grateful that I have documentation that says this is what you've been putting your time and energy into. Great. Now that your body's taken care of, now I get an opportunity to choose what next month looks like for me. So going into that, what are you looking forward to slash what are you intending on doing with your time going into next month?
So, what am I looking forward to is all the surprises. It's the things in the month that are going to happen that I have literally no idea that they're going to happen and that they're going to pop up and be an opportunity for me to react or respond in the way that I seem fit. I love that. And then the other part is continuing to build my content. Like the Bodies of Ego is one that I'm really excited about, really interested in. And so I'm really just focused on getting that done and start putting stuff out about it.
So, yeah, that feeling you were talking about before, that Christmas morning feeling, like just I know it's gonna be something good. I don't quite know what it's gonna be, but
But it is.
and from my experience, that's something that we can do on a daily basis. So I enjoy that because it's an amazing feeling.
Facts.
Um, but yeah, going into this month, honestly, continuing to be aware, continue to be mindful, observing my experience, continuing to practice the habits that I mentioned today, keeping my values, keeping what I want my time and energy to go into at the forefront of my mind, and then using what I have to ultimately align my time with what I want. That's ultimately what process I go through mentally. I'm like, if this is what I want, then what can I do today to contribute to that? And do my best to execute on that on a daily basis. So I'll continue to do that. I know, let's see, moving is going to be interesting. So I know the one of the focuses that I have is family, and so I'll see how my habits align with family going into next month. I think it'll be important because there's going to be moving parts in a lot of different aspects of my life. So I'll continue to see how that manifests and do my best to prioritize time to put energy into the relationships that I have, not just like biological family, but like
Hmm.
friends. I kind of put everyone that is close to me in that family space. So that'll be ultimately what I am looking to invest more of my time into next month and see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah. Dope. Well, that's all I got. Is there anything else you want to add or you want to leave everyone with today?
Man, as always, you are already whole. Keep enjoying the rest of your amazing journey.
Most definitely. For everyone listening, if you would like to get ad free early access to all of these episodes, there's also options for exclusive content that you can get and to be able to get live access to episodes like this at the end of each month. Go to our Patreon page on any of our social media platforms. You can access it through the link in our bio. And there we have multiple contribution options, and you can choose which membership you would like. We have the Be Aware, we have the Be Accountable, and we have the Appreciate Life option. So check it out. And we look forward to continuing to bring you powerful stories from the guests that we have coming up. Next month is going to be huge
Oh,
in who
yes.
we have on the show. We're very excited. So stay on the lookout for those stories. Remember, regardless of where you are right now, regardless of what you may be feeling in this moment, you have an opportunity to choose how you respond to what you're feeling. And through that response, you get to determine who you become. And ultimately, if you are becoming the person you want to be, then all that you get to do is enjoy the journey each step of the way.
Man.
So we're excited for what's to come, and yeah, hope you all enjoy the rest of your amazing day. I took that from Nick.
Dope.
Peace.
Coolio, Julio. You